I'm Ariana. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet you.
Awesome. So how did you guys become interested in the role? Why did you want to play these characters?
Oh, well, for me, it's work, first one, no? And it was my first work in English. I usually work in Spanish as an actor, as a comedian. And then, it's an HBO project with great actors, some actors that I admire from my early days. And for me, it was a gift. No, I don't have the opportunity, the idea in any moment to say no. For me, was what they want me. I'm happy. That's my experience. But they work a lot in English market. It's a different story.
What about you guys?
Go, you.
I mean, I love the idea of Watergate. I had read Gordon Liddy's book, Will. My uncle had participated in the Bay of Pigs invasion. For me, it was personal, and it was amazing people involved. So it's, automatically becomes very, very attractive. So I was happy to do it.
Yeah, I have to echo the same of both Alexis and Yul in that the people involved, I mean, writers, producers, directors from Veep and Curb Your Enthusiasm, I thought was a very interesting choice to interpret the Watergate break-in. And then also when I started reading it and saw that it was from the point of view of the little guys, the pawns in the bigger chess game, with G. Gordon Liddy and Howard Hunt, their families and how their families were impacted by the eccentricity and extremism of these characters, and how these Cubans were pulled in. And like Yul, I mean, look, I have that same connection. I was 8 years old in 1960 when we left Cuba. My father went to the Bay of Pigs, never invaded because he was married with children. I was very connected emotionally to that whole. I mean, by the way, we haven't mentioned in these interviews, but most Cubans thought that this revolution would last 6 months. It was going to be over in 6 months. They couldn't conceive that the United States would allow a communist regime, Soviet aligned, to exist 90 miles from our borders. So we were like optimistic that, hey, if we just give it a little push, it'll topple. It didn't happen. So instead of 6 months, it's lasted over 60 years. For many reasons. That's another miniseries, or I don't know, maybe Magnus Opus. But I think the emotional connection, the people involved, but I tell you, the biggest reward for me was to be able to work with these extremely talented Cubans. For 6 months we were together, and if it wasn't for them, I think I would have, I don't know, jumped in the Hudson River or something. It was because it was we just kept each other going, laughing. Look, Cubans are amazing when it comes to dealing comedically with tragedy. So that is, they just have a wonderful
That's what we are.
sense of humor. And I'll pass it on to Alexis, but I think I mean, for all those reasons, and then ultimately the wonderful surprises that even though I knew a lot about Watergate because I followed it in college, I was so surprised by so many things that I learned about these characters, about the things they did, details of the break-in, the crazy, absurd machinations of these people, and how it just led to this unmitigated disaster. To me, was like beyond belief. It was absurd. So it almost warranted a comedic take on it, because what else are you going to do? You could. It was so ridiculous. You had to laugh that they did what they did in the way that they did it.
Yes, your character even says at one point it's historical, so everyone knows what happens when you're in jail with Gordon, and it's just like, why did we even do this? Like, I'm confused at this point.
And I did it. And he goes, and I did it. And I didn't even know why or how.
Why do you think they did it?
Well, I'll let our fearless leader, Yul, respond to that.
Yes.
First of all, that's a title that I never asked for. I'm not the leader. They did it because and you still have this mentality in certain Cuban Americans in Miami. Anytime you go anti-Castro, anti-communism, even if it's something misguided and insane, they go, that's all they need to hear is like a dog whistle. So these guys thought, hey, but we're going to save our country. We're going to get the country back. We're going to go in there and get it. That's what the Bay of Pigs invasion. That's where they get these guys. So they already had guys that were already amenable to having their brains sort of taken and said, hey, come and do this. We are anti-communist, anti-Castroite. You know, Nixon hated Castro. That was obvious. So they went for no money. It's that simple an equation, really, ultimately, as sad as that may sound.
Yeah, it's tragic.
And it still
Alexis,
exists.
Yeah.
Alexis, tell them your perspective, because it's so different from yours and mine.
Oh, well, what you said is okay for me, because when I discovered these guys, the real guys, I feel pity, no, about them, no, because they were really doing something that they really believe, no, they risk their life for the freedom of Cuba, and maybe it was not the good way to do it, no, in this event, but they did it with their heart, no, they were real heroes for Cubans, and also for American politics. They were burglars, but for the Cubans in Miami. And if you see how Cuba continues in the time to live that absurd ideological and political state, no, of things, you feel, wow, these guys were a little a little out of their mind in that event, but they went in the right decision. We have to free our country, because our country is not in a good hands. I think that in that kind of thinking, you understand these people.
Yes. And I don't think anyone thought it would go the way that it went at all, and that it would take 4 attempts and there would be this envelope and all of these things. Doing it obviously has a comedic twist because it's Stranger Than Fiction, and looking at it retrospect, it is very comical. How did you guys kind of keep a straight face through all of it, especially Justin as Gordon Liddy is just an insane clown at this point?
Oh my God. I mean, those interpretations were revelatory. I mean, and I think they helped me in terms of understand the tone of what we were doing, that it was a little larger than life, that it was a little more animated for comedic purposes, but I mean, these the Cubans just went in like with blinders on. Somebody said, we're going to look, first of all, they had this blind loyalty Howard Hunt because they were involved with him in the Bay of Pigs invasion. So whatever he said went. So they went in then with this unquestioning loyalty, blind loyalty, and this fanatic dedication to in any way undermine Castro's revolution. And when they were told that they were going in there to look for proof that Castro was contributing to the Democratic presidential candidate. And so they said, yeah, let's go get it. And that was never the case, obviously, that was never true. So they were manipulated. And they also basically decided to plead guilty and not to allow for a trial where more investigation would have probably led to the real people who were responsible for the Watergate break-in. So yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating whether you're a historical buff or if you like Veep or Curb Your Enthusiasm, if you like humor. Everyone who comes to this project for whatever reason will learn a lot they didn't know before and will be thoroughly entertained. I mean, they have some wonderful, funny actors on this project, including my colleagues here who made me laugh every day, you know, and kept me alive and fresh. That's for sure.
Ariana, we didn't keep a straight face.
That's right.
Yeah, it was amazing and such a great story to tell. And I'm actually super happy that Cubans can tell a part of their history as well. And it wasn't whitewashed in any way.
That goes to the two writers, Pike and Gregory, and also Mandel. They made it a point of casting authentic Cubans in the parts. And I think it made a difference in terms of all the improvisation we were asked to do in Spanish, you know, in between, you know, lines, and in every situation, I think added to the truth, the cultural and you know, ethnic truth of it. So I thought they need to get credit for that. They really went out of their way to do it.
Yes, for sure. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.